Oh no, why is everyone doing tier lists? Might as well. So I'm just gonna literally go through every single Warframe, and I will give you like a random ass ranking. If you want my actual legit feeling of every single Warframe, you should keep an eye on my quote unquote haven't done this one in a very long time overview videos. Those are where I really get into what I actually think about each Warframe. Okay? But this tier list, like all tier lists, is trash. Just a reminder. Whether it's this game, whether it's any other game, whether it's in particular Genshin, Warframe, StarCraft, whatever, tier lists are trash. The Warframe that you should use is specifically the Warframe that appeals to you. If you enjoy a Warframe, that is the Warframe for you. If you do not enjoy a Warframe, that is most certainly not the Warframe for you. That being said, let's get into it. First one is going to be Ashe. Okay? So the thing about Ashe is going to be A tier because Ashe alone was the sole reason why we had a giant kerfuffle to do with Mark for Death. Everybody and their mother got all their knickers in a bunch because Mark for Death, whether it got nerfed, whether it got buffed, doesn't matter. Everyone had a huge kerfuffle. And it was mainly because of Ashe. It's weird that Ashe is actually perfectly fine the way he is, as far as I can tell. All of his abilities are actually very useful. And see, people keep calling Bladestorm bad. I don't think Bladestorm is that bad. I think Bladestorm is pretty good. Especially since you don't have to actually participate in the Bladestorm anymore. So, yeah. Ashe is going to be A tier. Now we have big punchy boy Atlas, okay? I personally can't make him work. So based on that, he's probably going to be a B tier. In the sense that, for one thing, he has a somewhat not particularly useful ability, in my opinion, Tectonics. I'm not entirely sure what the dealio is with it, especially the idea of rolling it down a hill. It looks great, and if this were the Mandalorian, it would do tons of damage, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't really do a whole lot, yes? And as a shield, I'm gonna be real here, it's not really working in a game like this. Maybe in a defense mission, sure. That being said though, punching people with Landslide is really fun, Petrifying is really strong, and definitely a really good ability to put on anyone using Helminth, so especially Nekros, so if you want to do that, you gotta do that. Rumblers I think are fine as well. People were farming Shedu? Perhaps. Rumblers are fine, I think. There's nothing really wrong with them. Titanic Rumbler is a bit of a meme, I think, but still, I think they're fine. So that's why he's going to be B tier, okay? Oh, and for anyone who is paying attention at all, we're going from S down to F. Or rather, S down to D, but D is technically F. That makes sense, okay? Alright, the next thing is Banshee. Now, Banshee, I really can't make her work. Even with the Helminth, I'm still struggling to make her work as well. She's gonna have to be like a C tier. I think there is a way to use her. The way to use her appears to mainly be to do with sonar and silence, so that's fine. But it's that Soundquake that's really triggering me. I don't know. Your Lisa is still getting D's in their updated tier list. It's because they don't know how to play Lisa. So, Relentless sends 56 million damage Banshee video. Is he using sonar and or silence? Because obviously that's how you can do it. And also, oh no, sorry, she's not C tier. What am I saying? She's B tier because she has a really good armor strip in the way of Sonic Fracture. That's right. So not C tier. Sorry, I forgot that Sonic Fracture is a thing. See, this is why you should actually. If you really want to know what I feel about each Warframe, you should wait until I do the actual thing. You know, you should wait until I do the actual overview, okay? But when I'm just like going off the top of my head, this is what happens. So B rank for Banshee. She's good at stripping armor. She's got a really powerful damage augment ability, and silence is really good for if you want to do melee stuff. But that Sonic Quake is just so hilariously useless as far as I can tell. That. I think, yeah, you can't really do a whole lot with her. As far as I can tell, anyway. Alright. The next one's going to be Baruuk. I have not used Baruuk. I've leveled him up, but I have never bothered to use him. Chat, what do you reckon? What do you reckon about Baruuk? He's probably absolutely perfectly fine, if not insanely OP. Okay. A tier? Alright then. I have not used any of his abilities, so I don't know. This is why I haven't done an overview video on him yet. But I don't know. Moving on. Chroma Prime. I think effigy is fine. But yes, it could do with a damage buff. The idea that you can now swap between elements is cool. Until you realize that Lavos exists. He can still buff and do all that cool stuff with his second and his third ability. But I mean, outside of Eidolon hunts, this is not particularly all that good. So he's probably gonna have to be a C tier. He's probably gonna have to be a C tier. Alrighty. Atlas is just eh. Baruuk is probably A tier. Yeah, probably. I haven't used him yet, so I don't know. Alright, let's look at the fire chicken herself, Ember. Nobody uses a Chroma in Eidolon hunts anymore. Well, there we go. Okay. Well, apparently I can't do that one, so... Oh, no, I can't even do that one either. Okay, so... The funny thing about Ember is that she only has one useless ability, and that's pretty much it. But it is her first ability, and that's perfectly fine. I think Ember is A tier. You've got a WarFrame that can create energy orbs through an augment, so that's pretty good. And a WarFrame that can strip all their armor, S tier? Yeah, there is more than enough reason to make that judgment too. And a WarFrame that can basically survive a whole lot. Either A or S tier. Pick one. Isn't even the best PT. Yeah, probably. Moving on. Equinox Prime. I've already done an overview on Equinox Prime. If I remember correct, I've written an overview, but I never bothered to record it. But you won't actually need to use dispensary on Equinox because she can make her own energy orbs already. The thing about Equinox Prime is if you can manage all of her abilities, she is by definition S tier. She can do everything. Her damage, I feel like her damage on her main could use a bit of a buff, at least. In my opinion, it doesn't do a whole lot. But by definition, she does everything, so that kind of makes her an S tier. But I think generally speaking, for normal humans, she has a very difficult kit to manage. So I would probably say A tier as well. Yeah, can synergize with Garuda's 4. Well, frankly, anything can synergize with Garuda's 4. Okay, the next one is going to be Excalibur / Umbra. If you're an Excalibur fan, you'll probably find him to be A tier. But I think he's borderline B tier. For one thing, Radial Javelin is useless. Radial Howl or the blind is nice, and the slash dash is fun, but yeah, he's either B tier or frankly he's B tier tops. That being said though, if you use him with Mag, I think you can actually do quite a lot of damage with Exalted Blade plus Magnetite, but I've never tried it. I probably should at some point, but I've never tried it. Okay, the next one is going to be Frost. Despite the fact that Frost exists has existed since the dawn of time, I've actually never used him. So I don't know what the dealio is with him. But Avalanche can strip armor with an augment, yes? No, not with an augment, sorry, my bad. Avalanche can strip armor, so that's good. Snow Globe is great for defense missions, although nobody ever really uses him. I don't really ever see him being used for defense missions anymore. Ice Wave, from what I gather, is completely useless. Freeze is also cute, but not particularly useful. 300% power strength is, well, that's if you want to strip all the armor. Maybe. But I don't think you necessarily need to, you don't necessarily need to strip all their armor. You just need to strip enough armor to actually be able to kill them. Also says, trying to decide between, also, hi Frode. trying to decide between Equinox and Ivara Prime. Which should I choose? I'd probably say Ivara Prime. Ivara Prime is easier to use, and I feel like you get more value out of Ivara Prime than you would get out of Equinox Prime. But if you can handle all of Equinox's entire kit, we'll have fun with Equinox Prime. Okay, so probably, what did I say? Probably C tier or B tier. Low B, possibly C tier. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so Gara is going to be in A tier simply because Spectra Siphon can give you energy, so that's already high on my list. And Splinter Storm seems to be really useful. Shattered Lash, I'm not entirely sure if that's all that useful. But Vitrify seems really good. So yeah, I think Gara is, what did I say, A tier or S tier? I'm not entirely sure what the dealio is with Shattered Lash, that's the only thing. Gonna do Ivara? Yeah, Ivara is probably the way to go. Either way, just having Spectro Siphon is already like putting her on the high on my list. Gotta use a stat stick? Well, that's probably why. Alright, so Garuda, S tier. Guaranteed, 100%. I will not hear a word against this. Garuda is S tier, okay? You're looking at a WarFrame who gives guaranteed slash procs, who can make her own energy and a lot, frankly, has a really nice heal, and can also give herself a defensive ability. Like, Garuda's S tier. I don't care what anyone says. Y'all might disagree with me, but Garuda is S tier, okay? That's just the deal. Alright, the next one is Gauss. I have a lot of people who got really triggered by me using Gauss in a sort of unoptimized way in a speed test, despite the fact that I specifically used everyone in an unoptimized way for that speed test. I kind of just wanted to see who was more or less fast enough. That being said though, Gauss is probably an A tier. Dude can strip armor, he can run around really fast, red line seems to be really helpful, and kinetic plating makes it really useful against pretty much every single enemy minus a handful of infested missions. You heard that someone said Gauss is useless in normal missions. I don't think that's necessarily true. For one thing, you could probably use Gauss as a really powerful tank. So if you want to survive, you could probably survive more than Inaros. And he can strip armor, which makes him better than Inaros. For frankly, anyone's better than Inaros at this rate. And Redline seems fun, so you know. So I think he's probably B tier, but a lot of people are saying he's A tier. So it's up to you. Which one? It's up to you. If you like the speed, he's probably A tier. If you're not particularly keen beans on that speed, then he's probably B tier. So it just depends on who you are, but I would probably say B tier. I'm not particularly interested in all that speed, especially since in a normal mission, generally speaking, that speed is not going to work a whole lot because your map is usually a bit of a maze. Okay. Okay, Grendel. I did an entire video called In Defense of Grendel because everyone keeps saying he's terrible. He's not. He's actually pretty good. He does a lot of damage. He can heal a lot. He's tanky as all hell. Right? Maybe Regurgitate is not helpful at all. Maybe. You can make an argument that Regurgitate kind of sucks and is therefore a useless ability. But Nourish is a really nice heal. Feast is a really powerful killing ability, mind you. Because it does scaling damage like crazy. And Pulverize actually does a lot of damage as well. I used Pulverize as Steel Path. And it actually kicks ass. So I would actually say he's A tier. Everyone keeps saying that he's C tier or F tier or terrible and all that jazz, but they're completely wrong, I think. I would say he's A tier. High B tier, low A tier. It's Regurgitate that's sort of pulling him back a little bit. I do agree that Regurgitate is kind of useless, I think. Maybe. Like, I've tried it, doesn't seem to do a whole lot as far as I can tell, but the rest of his abilities are great. So, in defense of Grendel, I'd say he's at least he's around A tier. Okay. Harrow. Previously the most difficult Warframe to manage before Lavos showed up, okay? Harrow is S tier. I've already done a video on him. He's a 10 out of 10 Warframe, which by definition makes him an S tier Warframe. He can do everything. He can do everything. He can give you red crits out of the wazoo. He can give you energy. He can give his entire team energy. He can give you healing. He can give his entire team healing. And he can CC the crap out of everyone and give himself shields. What do you mean he's not an S tier? Of course he's an S tier, 100%. His system is impossible to acquire. Well, yeah, that's annoying. But are we going to take that into account? Probably not. Okay, moving on. Hildryn. Thanatos would say Hildryn is S tier, and I am inclined to believe. I'm inclined to agree with him. We're talking about a Warframe who's tankier than pretty much every other tank in the game, more or less. Has really powerful damage through Balefire, and is capable of armor stripping. It's capable of doing all sorts of cute things, and frankly, she flies. She's either high A. She's somewhere between high A, low S tier. That's what I reckon. Thicker than. All right, Hydroid Prime. So Pilferoid is a thing. That's still a thing. So that's useful. Undertow does do some damage, but you kind of need to break armor first if you're going to use it against Grenier. Tidal Surge is cute, but not particularly useful. And Tempest Barrage, like I said, breaks armor, so that's useful. But I would probably say he's B tier. Tops. B tier. Tops. B tier. Okay. Inaros. F tier. 100%. Sure, the dude can heal, but he's boring as crap. F tier. 100%. I'm moving on. Ivara Prime. Ivara. Did I ever do an Ivara overview? I'm surprised I haven't actually done an. I'd be surprised if I've never done an Ivara overview before. Do you guys know? Do you guys remember? I think I have. Or have I? Or have I not? I have not. That's interesting. I have not. I probably should at some point. Josh is saying Ivara is S tier. I would say Ivara is high A tier. Without Dispensary, also I always play Ivara with Dispensary, okay? But without Dispensary, ignoring that for a second. Yeah, we're doing a Warframe tier list. Without Dispensary for a second. Ivara does have energy shenanigans. So if you can manage her energy, she's going to do a lot for you. That being said though, ignoring Dispensary for a second, Navigator, pretty useless. So I'm gonna have to say she's a high A tier, okay? Because I don't find Navigator particularly helpful. That's why I replace Navigator with something like Dispensary almost immediately, or replace it with. Yeah, I'm gonna upload this to YouTube. I'm recording it right now as well. If you reckon she's S tier without helmets, then that's good for you. I would probably still say high A tier. It's mainly because I don't think an S tier Warframe can be an S tier Warframe if they have a useless ability. So whether or not you love her is kind of beside the point. Okay? We have a somewhat useless ability, or at least I personally don't like using this ability at all. I never use it in the form of Navigator. So by that regard, she is high A tier. You replace that with something like Eclipse, you replace that with something like Dispensary, you replace it with something like. Actually, I haven't really tried anything else on the helmets, really. But then she becomes an S tier Warframe, 100%. Glaive? I don't really. Like, the thing is, the problem with Navigator, if anything, is that in a game like this where you're moving around so much, Navigator just slows you down too much. And also, you churn through energy using Navigator. I don't particularly like it. The energy investment for Navigator versus the value that you could get out of Navigator seems really scuffed, if you ask me. Alright, let's move on. So what did I say? High A tier. Okay, Khora. Some people would say she's S tier. I probably say she's high A tier. One of her augments is a bit scuffed. The Venari Bodyguard augment, I think could be really, really good, but there's something up with it that is kind of making me not particularly like her a bit. That being said though, she is a Warframe that can do pretty much everything. You're talking about a Warframe that can pilfer. You're talking about a Warframe who has a cat and therefore can armor strip like crazy. Who can heal. Who can also do some damage. I don't know how much damage she could do. I don't like the protect stance though for Venari. I don't really see a point to it. But outside of that, obviously everyone thinks of Khora. Obviously, when everyone thinks of Khora, they think of the Whip Claw plus insert stat stick. I don't really care about that. And a snare is really powerful. So yeah, high A tier. But I wouldn't really say S tier. Mainly because Venari. Protect stance seems really pointless, and Venari bodyguard seems a bit off. John is saying C tier. That's not true. I don't agree with that in the slightest. Okay, Lavos. Despite being the newest Warframe in the game, I am going to call him an S tier. Dude does so much friggin' damage. Holy friggin' crap, okay? So because you can't, so people who call him F tier or say he's not good probably just can't handle his kit. They just can't handle his kit. His kit is the most complex kit in the game now. It used to be Harrow, but it's actually going to be Lavos. So that's the deal. He's got a heal. He's got a heal. His Vile Rush does seem a little bit useless, but it does do some damage, so it's useful. Transmutation Probe, I use it mainly for radiation status procs, which is really, really powerful. All he needs is ability element addition thing tweaking. Maybe. And then there's also Catalyst. But Catalyst does a ton of damage. Catalyst is actually easy mode. So yeah. When you get used to actually using his kit, he's S tier, 100%. Okay? That's just the deal. I saw Railjack in the thumbnail. Oh yeah, I'll be playing Railjack later, if I have time. Because apparently we need to do some mag relics, oh, by the way, I'm going to do like 4 mag relics, okay? Soup, I'll just help you out there, and then if you need more help, we'll try later, okay? We'll do 4 mag relics just to start off, okay? Just to start off. I can't even speak. Alright, Limbo Prime. So I've done an entire overview video on Limbo. I think Limbo is high A tier. I really like using Limbo. He's cool. And if you can't handle him, then you just suck. I'm sorry. You're talking about an ability that basically shuts down everything, because stasis exists. You can use that with Cataclysm, so that's really powerful. You can also use Rift Surge to massively increase the damage of your weapons. Banish is a bit of a meme. You could choose. You can try to figure out how you want to use Limbo. Sometimes I do find myself never using Banish. So Banish is a bit of a meme, but the rest of his abilities are really powerful. So he's A. So I would probably say he's A tier. Josh is saying low A, high B. Maybe. I am thinking mid A. You troll players with Banish on mobile defense missions, and that's why you give people the opinion that Limbo is D tier, because you give people the opinion, the impression that Limbo is only used for trolling purposes. But no, Limbo is actually really powerful. I would call him A tier. Loki, F tier. Do I need to say more? What the hell does he do that cannot be done by literally anyone else? Why is he A tier? Explain to me that. Loki A tier? Why? What? Is it just invisibility? Whoop-de-friggin' do. Decoy, useless. Teleport, cute but not really useful. Radial disarm, sure. But who cares? You know? All he has is invisibility, but frankly his invisibility is getting eaten by literally everyone else's invisibility. Loki is S tier on the market, is he? Nah. I'm sorry, Loki's useless. I find him completely and utterly useless. Every time I see a Loki there, I'm thinking, there's Loki. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to use Ivara. That's just my opinion. I don't find him useful at all. And he's certainly not S tier, because he has a useless ability in the form of Decoy. Anything outside of level 3 gameplay, Decoy is completely useless. Imagine using Loki though. Anyway, Loki, no. Just no. Okay, Mag. Would anyone like to guess what I'm going to say about Mag? Yeah, I've chosen... Yeah, fight me, Tribos. Would anyone like to, S tier? S tier. So obviously Soup is wrong, and Gavin is also wrong. Unless Gavin is talking about Loki. I don't know what Gavin is talking about. Mag is the best Warframe in the game. Obviously. I've done like 55 videos, maybe, on Mag, demonstrating precisely why Mag is the best Warframe in the game. You come to me to see the power of Mag, and I demonstrate the power of Mag all the damn time. Yeah, the best Warframe in the game is Mag. You're talking about a Warframe who can strip everyone's armor, who can CC the crap out, who can jam everyone's guns, who has the best damage, who has maybe the best damage augmenting ability in the form of Magnetize. Sure, Pull is a bit useless. But that CC that you get from Pull is actually really good as well. So it's not as useful as all of Mag's other abilities, and it's definitely the ability that I would immediately replace with something from the Helminth, as I have always replaced something from the Helminth using Mag, if that makes sense. But Mag has a really good kit. The only thing I would say about Mag's kit, and this really only has this is really only to do with Mag's Pull, is that Mag's Pull does have a functionally unusable secondary ability. Did you know, if you somehow manage to land a kill with Pull, you have well in this case 10%, but if you rank it all the way up, it's like a 20% chance to drop an energy orb. The only problem is that you'll never end up killing someone above level 5 using Pull, because Pull doesn't do much damage, right? So that's the problem. Hopefully one day DE will look into it and actually make it so that anyone who's affected by Pull immediately has a plus 25% chance to drop an energy orb. Then Mag would actually be triple S tier. But until then, she's just S tier. Moving on. Magnetic damage, am I a joke to you? Yes. Yes, you are. Mesa Prime. Mesa. Okay, so I'm going to pull a Zhongli here. Mesa as a Warframe is high A tier. The only thing she's missing is healing. That's it. And Ballistic Battery is kind of useless, okay? Mesa as a Warframe is high A tier. Mesa players, on the other hand, Mesa mains, on the other hand, F tier. So, when you combine those two together, she's high B tier. Okay? She's high B tier. As a Warframe, she's great, but as a player base, she's horrible. So, high B tier. Okay? The only thing I would say is Ballistic Battery. What the hell is the point of this particular ability? Explain to me this. I see no point in it. Am I supposed to use it with a sniper rifle? Who brings a sniper rifle with Mesa? That's my question. Otherwise, Mesa, high B tier. Okay. Mirage does an incredible amount of damage. High A tier. I'd probably say Sleight of Hand is more annoying to use and potentially slightly useless. But outside of that, she's great. She's squishy as all hell though, so really pay attention to your surroundings when you're using Mesa. When you're using Mirage. Sleight of Hand is good for ESO? Maybe. But I would argue that anything that Sleight of Hand is good at, Prism pretty much destroys it. Prism does a ton of damage. If it was just the Prism itself is S tier. So Josh is partly correct, I think. The Prism itself is S tier. But I think Mirage's entire kit... Why do I keep calling her Mesa? Mirage's entire kit, it's really just that Sleight of Hand that's sort of dragging her down. That's about it. But Eclipse is really powerful. Especially on Mirage herself, Eclipse is really bloody powerful. Especially if you know how to use it. Most people don't seem to know how to use it. So obviously they complain that that Eclipse is not consistent. Well, if it was consistent, guess what? It would be hilariously overpowered. Let's move on. Nekros. Yeah. A tier. Mirage's 4 has low damage? Does Nightmare Frame even know how to... I'm sorry, that's just completely wrong. No, that's completely wrong. I've demonstrated that in a video before. That is completely wrong. Mirage's Prism does tons of damage. The only place where it specifically doesn't do any damage is Deimos. And I suspect that was only because there was a problem with the lighting. I'm not entirely sure if that's been fixed yet, but if you're trying to use Mirage on the surface of Deimos, then yes, Prism doesn't do any damage. But in literally any other map, as far as I can tell, Prism kills everything. Okay. Okay, so, Nekros. high B tier. High B tier. Okay, high B tier. He's not terribly powerful, but he's very useful. Yeah, might have low damage at level 5,000, but not normal stuff. Yeah, if you're trying to like base things off level 5,000, guess what? Mesa does low damage then. Soul Punch I find to be not particularly useful. Terrify I also find to be not particularly useful. It's mainly because the amount of armor strip that comes from it is not particularly high, and the crowd control is kind of cute, but not really necessary. That being said, the Desecrate and Shadows of the Dead are very useful, and I tend to find those happening a lot of the time. I tend to use those two abilities a lot. But his first two abilities are not particularly helpful. B tier. Okay, Nezha. I have absolutely no idea where to place him. Now, it's not like I don't know how to play him, and it's not like I've never played him before. I've used Nezha before. I still have no idea where I would place him. S tier? Interesting. You're gonna have to convince me about that. I could see more of a reason to put him at a high A tier, but not S tier. But I don't know. Josh is saying B to C. Man can do pinball. Yeah, but the pinball doesn't do a whole lot these days, as far as I can tell. He can tank. Yeah, he can tank. Warding Halo is really powerful for tanking and also a really good support ability. But he does have good CC too. Yeah, true. The only thing I have a problem with when it comes to Nezha is that I don't know what's happened. There was a time where, at least in the Simulacrum, if I used Divine Spears on 8 enemies, and then I charged up the Blazing Chakram and used it on those 8 enemies, specifically Corrupted Heavy Gunners, they would all die. But these days, I don't know if I've just done something wrong with my build, or if something's changed about him, but that doesn't seem to happen anymore, so I'm not sure what the dealio is. I don't know, I'm not sure what the dealio is. I feel like he used to have real damage, as Frodo Road is talking about. I feel like he used to have real damage, but I don't know, I think something's happened to him. So I'm kind of feeling his high B tier tops. Kind of feeling like he's high B tier, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay. I don't care about endurance runs. I'll fall asleep before I finish an endurance run. Okay, Nidus. A tier. Nidus is really strong. He just is. The only problem that you may have with Nidus is if you can't bring his stacks up via virulence, oh, then you're screwed. And that typically happens if you have bitch-ass allies. But aside from that, I think you'll find that he's A tier. Pretty good A tier. Lava's pretty strong. Parasitic Link actually makes you even more tanky than you should be, or if you use it on an ally, it actually makes them even stronger. Well, that's really good. I think Ravenous is a good heal as well. So yeah, I'd probably say he's A tier. Okay. Nova. The only problem I have with Nova is that Null Star requires so much duration. Outside of that, I reckon she's also high A tier. Obviously, Molecular Prime means double damage, easy. Antimatter Drop is a giant nuke. That's always been a giant nuke. PB saying B tier? Maybe. But I would probably say Nova's A tier. There's a lot of A tier Warframes, and you might find that I'm way more forgiving about some Warframes, and I actually find myself more defensive on some Warframes than other people, but either way, I think Nova's in a really good place. Teleport's very useful, especially in Plains of Eidolon, and other open world maps. It's just Nullstar. It's just Nullstar that's pissing me off. Because the only way you really make Nullstar useful is through high duration, and I don't know about that high duration. It's really hard for me to build high duration because I kind of feel like for something like Molecular Prime, you kind of need that range. And then you kind of want that strength for AMD, I think, or I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, something to think about. Anyway. Nyx. I'm literally trying to do a video on Nyx. That's why I want to do some Railjack later tonight. So let's try to finish this off as quickly as possible. I know Nyx is not garbage tier. I'd probably say Nyx is B tier. Here's the thing about Nyx. It does not take a lot of power strength to delete every single... You don't use range for... Really? Interesting. Okay. Clearly I don't know a whole lot about Nova. But in terms of Nyx, B tier. It does not take a lot of power strength to be able to strip everyone's... well, three or in some cases like 4 or 5 people's armor and shields. Psychic Bolts is actually pretty strong. Now in Steel Parts missions, not that strong, because you can only hit like 4 or 5 enemies at a time, so that's obviously annoying. But in other missions, where there's not that many enemies, Psychic Bolts is great. Mind Control is not that powerful, Chaos is cute, and Absorb is great. I've also, someone in one of my comments, in a comment to one of my videos, is duration based. Oh shit, oh okay. Well, okay, well, shows how much I know about Nova. Okay. Someone in the comments asked me about a specific interaction between a certain ability in the Helminth and Nyx. And I've discovered that there's actually, as a direct result of that particular question being posed, that there's actually a really nice interaction between a certain ability in the Helminth and Absorb. So feel free to guess which ones those are, but Absorb is actually pretty good, especially with Assimilate. Absorb is Assimilate really, really good. But I do actually want to do a proper Nyx video where I basically do a dispensary Nyx build, but kind of show it in an infinite assimilate fashion. So that's going to be interesting. So by the time this shows up on YouTube as a proper video, I probably would have already done the Nyx video. But until then, get ready for that. I reckon Nyx is B tier. Oberon. S tier. I would say Oberon is S tier. The dude can do basically everything. Dude strips armor, heals like crazy, and CCs like crazy. I mean, do you need anything else? Smite. Infusion. Hello. Oberon is S tier 100%. I will not hear any word against this. I will not hear any word against this. Oberon is S tier 100%. Moving on. Who am I up to? Octavia. Wouldn't say very good at each thing. Are you kidding? The dude heals 100 health per second. Easy. Easy. Dude strips armor. Easy. Dude CCs the crap out of everyone. Easy. Smite Infusion is super strong. Easy. Oberon is S tier 100%. And Octavia is going to be the first Warframe where I will actually give a very easy triple S plus tier. Triple S plus. Octavia plays the game for you, ladies and gentlemen. Octavia plays the game for you. She is actually probably one of the strongest Warframes in the game. Like, just hands down. Notice how I gave Mag S tier. But Octavia is triple S plus. Triple S plus. Think about that, okay? A Mag main is placing Octavia higher than Mag. Octavia is triple S plus, okay? I will not hear a word against this. Protea. Protea is easy mode. B tier. B tier. What am I saying? S tier. Protea is easy mode. S tier. Easy mode. You talk about a Warframe that has one of the strongest abilities in the game, Dispensary. Lol. Hello. A Warframe who basically can destroy everything with more or less infinite scaling via Blaze Artillery. A Warframe who can basically supercharge her own shields. Easy. A Warframe that could literally survive death should she actually be shot down, which she probably wouldn't anyway. But if you move around, you probably get to blow everything up anyway with Blaze Artillery. S tier. Easy. Easy. Like, easiest S tier ever. Triple S tier? No. No. She still requires a tiny bit of skill. A tiny bit of skill. What about a passive? Passive? Oh yeah, there's that. I forgot about that too. I don't really think about her passive, but yeah, that's also a thing. S tier, easy. Okay, Revenant. Okay, so I personally think that Revenant is probably high B, low A tier, but Thanatos would say high S tier. So, depends on who you ask. The main thing I find, the main thing that I think is a bit scuffed is just Dancer Macabre. Maybe? Maybe. Okay? Just maybe. That's the only ability that I find potentially problematic for someone, for a Warframe that prevents a Warframe from being S tier, because an ability that could be just useless enough to drag someone away from being S tier would be his fourth. Maybe. Okay? If you find that his fourth is doing well for you, great. I'm not so sure. Okay? Okay. Rhino. Low A tier tops. Rhino Stomp is cute, but not really necessary. Rhino Charge doesn't do a whole lot as far as I can tell. Rhino Skin is good. Rhino Roar is obviously good. But there are better buffs depending on what you're looking at. Depending on what you're looking for, Rhino, there are better buffs than Rhino. If you know how to use Eclipse like craps all over Roar for the most part. If you're looking for specifically something to buff your abilities, I would potentially look at something like Rest and Rage. If you want something to be a bit easier to use, but otherwise you could also use Roar. If you're looking for a buff on melee, you could potentially use Silence and or Warcry. There's better buffs than Roar, but Roar is good at least helping your allies with with abilities. Roar is good at buffing abilities, and that's pretty much it. B tier. I don't really find him to be terribly useful. But meanwhile, Saryn. S tier. We have a Warframe who can hard counter everyone. You go up against Armor, Spores, Corrosive Procs, easy. You go up against Corpus, Toxic Lash, Toxin Damage, easy. You go up against Infested, well, you actually can just use both Toxin Lash and Spores at the same time. And if you really feel like it, you can use Miasma and just give everyone a giant viral proc, easy, done. And if you ever feel like healing, there's also Regenerating Molt. Like, easy S tier. You reckon double S? Yeah, maybe. I can see a reason. I can see a reason to give her double S. Okay, Titania Prime. Oh, sorry, a Titania/Titania Prime. Okay. So, had this been half a year ago, Titania would be low A tier tops. But now that Lantern doesn't float the hell away, considering that you also have Razorwing Blitz, considering that you also have Spellbound Harvest, considering that you also have, well, the ability to cycle through your tributes. High S tier. She's more powerful than Mesa. High S tier. No, I think she's high S tier. If you can handle that speed, she's high S tier. If you're smacking into walls all the time, then she's A tier. Because you're not good at her. I'm sorry. If you're smacking into walls with her all the time, then you're just not good with her. But Titania is not bad. People are just bad with her. If that's the case. But in my opinion, Titania is high S tier. The only thing that's keeping her from something like triple S tier is mainly just that a lot of the tributes are not particularly useful. So there is that. But high S tier Titania, 100%. Trinity. Oh boy. Chat, what do you reckon Trinity should be? A tier? Hey Rowan, how's it going? Oh yeah, if you were here for the very start of this whole exercise of doing the tier list, you would have heard me say that tier lists are all trash. Every single tier list that you ever hear is absolute garbage. I'll say this again. Every tier list you ever hear about any game, whether it be Warframe, HOTS, Genshin, doesn't matter. Every tier list is trash. If the Warframe you like to use is specifically the if there is a Warframe that you like to use, guess what? That's the Warframe for you. If there is a Warframe that you specifically do not like to use, guess what? That's not going to be the Warframe for you. Doesn't matter what tier they are. If they appeal to you, well, guess what? That's exactly the Warframe that you should use. But you know, some people are saying low S, some people are saying A tier. I'd probably still put her at A tier, but low A tier. Energy Vampire is still good, but but the fact that you can put Dispensary on literally any Warframe now kind of craps on the idea that Energy Vampire is like as good as it needs to be, you know? That being said though, Well of Life is pretty good. The new and improved Well of Life is pretty strong. So, you know, there's a couple of things to think about. Link is good. Blessing's pretty good. The only problem is that Blessing doesn't affect Necromex anymore. Actually, it never... No, it did. Blessing used to affect Necromex, but it doesn't anymore. That's unfortunate, but, oh well, it is what it is. It includes the true damage part. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Energy Vampire does have true damage, true. Oh, yeah, but... Okay, but if you're going to use Energy Vampire as a damage ability, you kind of don't really need to use any of her other abilities now, because, if you try to use Energy Vampire as a damage ability, you kind of lose all of that duration. And when you lose all of that duration to do an Energy Vampire build, guess what? All of your other abilities are completely useless, because they only last for that much. As soon as you hear that, it's gone. So, that's kind of why I don't like EV builds. But otherwise, depending on how you build her, she's either C tier because she's only got one useful ability if you build EV, or she's low A tier if you actually build her to use all of her abilities, you know? Okay. Also, I don't know how many people have forgotten, you do realize that if you kill someone who's under the effects of Energy Vampire, all of their energy explodes and you actually get all their energy back. All that energy in one go. So you don't... I feel like a lot of people kept putting such a huge emphasis on the idea of low duration EV builds, despite the fact that, you know, you could just do a normal build, right? And bring a Paris Prime. Do a normal build, use EV on someone, shoot them in the head, they die, and you get all your energy. Woof! In one foul swoop. But yes, PB and Gavin are correct. There are many ways to get energy now. Back then, not really. Yeah, but still, back then, the difference in time to get energy was literally like half a second. Half a second. That was the difference. The difference between using a proper EV build of having like 13% duration versus use EV and then shoot the guy in the face. Because back then we didn't have Steel Path. So it was actually rather easy to just shoot the guy in the face and you get all your energy back. But the amount of people who got so pissed off because I showed up with a normal build, not an EV build. Oh. Anyway, moving on. Before I lose my voice. Valkyria. A tier. I'm curious what everyone is. I'm curious how everyone responds to that. I think Valkyrie is actually really strong. I don't know why a lot of people say Valkyrie is really bad. A lot of people said Valkyrie is... A lot of people keep saying that Valkyrie is really bad. I don't think so. Your Valkyrie's claw damage is low. You don't know what you're doing wrong. Oh, you're definitely doing something wrong. You're gonna have to look into your claw build for starters. You're gonna have to look at how much power strength you're using on your Valkyrie. And have you tried using Hysteria? Sorry, have you tried using the new Hysteria augment? She kind of gets boring. Well, I guess everyone gets boring. But maybe. Eternal War is really powerful. Allblade says it sucks. Well, Allblade's wrong then. Valkyrie's claws are really powerful. I don't know what everyone else is smoking. They keep saying, "Yo, Valkyrie's claws are bad. Hysteria is bad. Hysteria is bad," and I'm like, no. Hysteria is pretty damn strong. Allblade is the law. No, he's not Brozyme. So, Either way, I'd say Valkyr is A tier. 100% A tier. Okay. Who am I up to? Volban. Okay. Yeah. Test your crap. You can listen to me as much as you want, but test your stuff. Seriously, test your stuff. Josh is saying Volban is S tier. Let's see, we're looking at a Warframe who can strip armor. We're looking at a Warframe who can then suck enemies in together. We're looking at a Warframe who has a giant laser. Space laser. We're looking at a Warframe with 3 out of 4 tethers, 3 out of 4 mines that are actually quite useful. And Fletched Orb is actually quite powerful. We're looking at a Warframe with Tesla Bank, who Rahatelius claims makes it really, really strong. I personally have not seen Tesla Bank to be terribly useful, but that's just me. But Rahatelius swears by his own mother, I would assume, that Tesla Bank is actually really, really strong. People say Photon Strike is bad, but if you strip armor, then it's actually really good and you could do that with his force. Yeah, precisely. Exactly. I personally find Tesla Bank to be not all that useful, and as a direct result, I will keep him at A tier. So not S tier, I will keep him at A tier, specifically because I don't think Tesla Bank is all that useful. Now, some people seem to keep saying that Tesla Bank is extremely powerful, and definitely in a simulacrum setting, yeah, Tesla Bank can be really, really strong. But in normal missions, and this is the exact same thing that I said about Tesla Bank Mag, I can't make it work. I'm not sure I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, but I tried and I tried and I really tried. I can't make it work, even with Mag. I can't make it work with Volban, and I certainly can't make it work with Mag. So I don't know. I might be doing something wrong, but until I eventually maybe one day discover what I am actually doing wrong, it's gonna have to be an A tier. Slap and snare or lava on Volban, but why? Why would you need to slap and snare or lava on Volban? You do realize that Vortex exists, right? You do realize that Vortex exists, right? Why double up? What's with the double up? Explain to me that, PB. Explain to me that. Wukong. I'm sorry, I've just skipped through a bunch of Warframes. Vault. This is gonna trigger a bunch of people, but I think Vault is low P tier tops. I don't think Vault is all that good. His shield is useful for Eidolon hunts, but that's mostly it. Shock is pointless. Speed is just really for funsies, so fair enough. If you like speed, then sure, bring him up to like a high B tier. The electric shield is only really good for him, I guess, and that's if you carry him, but you kind of, you know, lose a lot of your energy at the same time. So that's kind of sucks. Discharge is cool, sort of, but I don't know, I'm not really convinced that it does a whole lot. Capacitance is good in that it gives you shields, but I can't really say you really come to like his supportive ability to recharge shield. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't know, I'm not seeing him being all that useful. And I don't really care about an endurance vault, an endurance run, because the problem with endurance run is that I fall asleep. So yeah, apparently he can room clear. The only thing I'll say about this is that I have seen, in terms of discharge though, I have seen vaults clear entire rooms in ESO, so I don't really know how they're doing that. I'd be curious to see what their build is, because I suspect they're actually compensating and compromising a lot in that kind of build. I think they might be compromising a lot. But regardless, he can't be S tier because the shock is kind of useless. And I probably wouldn't even put him as A tier because I don't think he does terribly much. But he's still useful. just not as useful as he probably could be. Okay? Okay. Every build he has is too specific? Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Wisp. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the deal with Wisp, okay? Wisp as a Warframe is actually S tier. She does a ton of damage, she can heal, she can give everyone speed, she can give everyone some extra CC as well. She's really powerful. Breach Surge is an incredible bit of crowd control plus extra damage. And Will-O-Wisp, despite the fact that I tend to replace Will-O-Wisp with something from the Helminth, Will-O-Wisp is actually a pretty good and useful ability as well. Especially when you pair it up with Breach Surge. So Wisp as a Warframe is S tier. But here's the thing. Wisp's ass is triple S plus tier. Therefore, when you put the two together, Wisp is actually a double S tier. Okay? Wisp is actually a double S tier. Wisp's passive is broken AF? Maybe. But I personally don't use it. I don't really use it a whole lot. Because I don't find myself in the air. I tend to find myself using Soulgate 9 times out of 10. So I don't really find myself in the air. You know? But, yeah. What's a good tank? Johan asks, what's a good tank? Any tank who isn't Inaros. Inaros good? Don't listen to PB, he's just trolling. Nezha, if you know how to use him. Grendel, if you know how to use him. Gara, sort of. Inaros, if you want to fall asleep. So no, not Inaros. Lavos, if you know how to use him. There are a couple of really good options. Speaking of a good option, Wukong. Okay. I think Wukong is high ace tier. Are your messages going through? Yeah, they're going through. If you look at the bottom left corner of your screen, you might find that your messages show up as part of the chat. Soup saying that Wukong is S tier. Maybe. That is only Wukong is S tier only if you deem that Primal Fury actually does enough damage. I have heard conflicting statements. Some people reckon that Primal Fury does enough damage. Some people say it doesn't. Last time I used Primal Fury, it wasn't exactly impressing me. His 4 is kinda, yeah. So yes, Wukong does have a ton of invincibility, i.e. dude almost normally doesn't really die. For one thing, you have a hilariously powerful heal in the form of Cloudwalker. You have an incredible bit of invulnerability / damage with Defy, sure. But I'm not terribly impressed with... Primal Rage 1.2 million damage video. Oh. I'm curious to see how he did it then. Interesting. But last time I checked, it was not particularly impressive. So I'll be interested to see how Relentless End builds his Wukong to do apparently that much damage on Wukong. But until then, I would probably say high A tier. I have a question. What do you think is a good all-rounder Warframe that can do different types of missions? Mag. That's my first answer. Mag. Harrow, if you can handle him. Vault, I guess, maybe. Ivara. Yeah, possibly. Oberon, definitely. Mirage, well, if you can survive, if you can keep aware of your surroundings. Mirage, Limbo, Gauss, apparently. But yeah, there are a bunch of Warframes that are really good all-rounders, but my first obvious answer is Mag. Okay. Okay, so that's Wukong. What did I say? High A tier. Okay. I don't know if they fixed it yet, but for some reason if I use Exalted Blade with Excalibur, the more combo I get, the less damage I do. Oh, I have no idea what the hell that's about, Johan. But that sounds like a hilarious bug to me. Alright, Zaku. Oh, Zaku. Specifically because of the Lost, I feel like Zaku can only be high B tier tops. Super Saiyan C tier, and I feel like he does have a leg to stand on in that regard. You could make an argument for saying that Zaku is even worse than I think he is. So you can make any frame do millions of damage with the right comp. Videos like these, if they weren't solo, mean nothing. Yeah, that's a true statement. Zaku is B tier. So Josh is saying Zaku is B tier. I think he's low B tier. Zata's Whisper is cute but not particularly useful. Grasp of Loki is strong if you find enough enemies, so that's good. The Lost is 2/3 useless, I feel. Endurance run Zaku. Again, I don't care because I fall asleep with endurance runs. The Vast in Time is mostly useful, but he only needs to get hit once. Dude's kind of squishy. And he doesn't have a heal. So dude's kind of squishy. So yes, you can evade like 75% of all incoming fire. But one shot, you only need one bullet. You only need a stray bullet somewhere. Or an explosion. And you're kind of gonskis. Low B tier with the potential of being C tier. That's what I would say. Zephyr. If he has a juggler set mod, then you can do 100% damage. Wait, is that for real? Do they stack? If that's the case, then that's pretty good, but outside of that, nah. Okay, Zephyr. I did a Zephyr overview on her. Josh is saying A tier. I'm not convinced. I did a Zephyr overview, and in that Zephyr overview, I gave her a 6 out of 10 score. Now you may be thinking 6 out of 10, that's a pass mark. It's not. Zephyr, I think, is below average. I'm not convinced that Zephyr is all that good. Now, she has potential if tornadoes didn't move all over the place. She does have potential. Tornadoes, in the right circumstances, tornadoes can do a ton of damage with an explosive weapon. Oh yeah, in the right circumstances, very specific right circumstances, Zephyr can do a ton of damage with tornadoes. They're good CC when the guys are still in the tornado, but they fling the guys out of the tornado, so that's kind of a bit annoying. Turbulence is a very powerful way of staying alive. That's true. Outside of melee attacks, but outside of that, Turbulence is a really powerful way of staying alive. Airburst, on the other hand, I'm not seeing how that is useful in any way, shape, or form. And Tailwind is fun to use, but not particularly good. The Tailwind Dive Bomb Augment could be strong, but I feel like you need to have a ton of setup. Turbulence is good. Yes, Turbulence is good. I feel like you need to have a lot of setup. So because 3 of her 4 abilities I find to be not particularly useful, I probably have to say that Zephyr is C tier. I'm not convinced that Zephyr is actually all that good, but if you can actually use Zephyr really well somehow, I'd be curious to see how you're doing it, because I tried. I really did. I haven't been able to really come up with anything that works out all too well. So yeah. Let's just finish the tier list. With the 2, you want the Arcwings and the Necromex as well? Yeah, sure, we'll do that. So Bone Widow. I literally have a Bone Widow video coming out in 2 days, but I'm just gonna say he's B tier. Sorry, A tier. He's got potential, and he's actually not as bad as everyone says. What's this? Geo3942, whoever you are, hello. Void Rig, S tier. 100%. Oh, sorry, no, not S tier, A tier as well, high A tier. The only problem with him, Void Rig, is that the Necro Web seems terribly useless. The Necro Web seems terribly useless. That's it. You reckon Bone Widow is S? Maybe. Bone Widow is a lot better than some people give them credit for. All right, let's have a look at the Arcwings as well. Bone Widow is a lot better than someone like PB gives them credit for. Okay, so Amesha is basically the heal and tank Arcwing. I'd probably say B tier. Sure, it's the only Arcwing that doesn't get blown out of the sky if you're playing Railjack at the present moment, but that's really a grand indictment when it comes to Arcwings. I would say Amesha is B tier. Electron is cute, but I don't know, doesn't seem to do a whole... is cool. The abilities, on the other hand, though, doesn't seem to do a whole lot, though. I feel like Warhead is a fun ability to use, but doesn't really do anything. Thumper doesn't do enough damage. Maybe I'm just playing the wrong things, or maybe I'm just not playing the right missions enough, but either way, Corvette, Bloomer, they don't seem terribly useful. I probably say C tier, unfortunately. I feel like a lot of the Arcwings are just going to have to get sorted out. Itzel, I like Itzel, but unfortunately the one thing I like about Itzel being the fighter escort, which turns you into a Gundam, doesn't do any damage whatsoever. So I can't really put Itzel at a high A tier either. Cosmic Crush is cool, mainly for grabbing stuff, but that's about it. Penumbra is useful-ish. It says that you do turn invincible, but whoop-de-friggin' do, you're stuck. And Arcline is completely and utterly useless. So I would say low B tier tops. Itzel has the highest movement speed. Is that even true? It probably is. Best for Eidolons. Yeah, but that's only for travel. Who cares? Odonata Prime, as much as I tend to use Odonata Prime over every single Arcwing, the missiles are useless. The repel is mostly useless. The disarray is cute, but not terribly useful against cruise ship missiles, which seems to be the only thing that I need to be worrying about most of the time. And Energy Shell is cute, but again, doesn't really save me from cruise ship missiles. High C tier tops. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so for YouTube purposes, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more WarFrame content, and, you know, feel free to let me know all that crap and all that jazz. But otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Bye!